Chapter 6. The breeze was warm and inviting. The light from the red sun was slowly fading away, casting a shadow on the mountains and hilltops. The grass was soft, just like Johnny's hands, which now rested upon my own. As I laid my head against his lean shoulders and watched the sun dip lower and lower, I noticed how gentle the atmosphere was. "What a beautiful day, isn't it, Johnny?" I whispered. "Just like you, Isha," he replied. "Oh, Johnny," I sighed. "Who is Johnny?" A high-pitched voice bellowed in my ears. "Isha, did you hear that?" Johnny asked as he turned his head in every direction. "Ignore it, babe," I answered as I held on tightly to his arm, refusing to lift my head off his strong, welcoming shoulder. "Okay, let's just enjoy this beautiful day." "Yes," I agreed. "Let's enjoy this day. I'm happy wherever you are, babe." "Babe? Who is babe?" The mysterious voice appeared again. "Stop it. Who is that?" I questioned as I lifted my head. When I looked again, Johnny was gone. "Johnny? Johnny? Where'd you go, Johnny?" "Isha Pua," screamed the mysterious voice, just as I felt sharp pain pierce my arm. So I want to pause here to speak to the fact that Isha is having a dream. And in this dream, she's having an intimate moment with Johnny, the guy she has been crushing on. And the line that says, I ignore it, or "Ignore it, babe." And then she says, she held tightly to his arm. So one, dreams are usually significant in literature. And secondly, the fact that she is ignoring the voice that's calling to her and she's holding on to Johnny is the fact that there is a tug of war going on inside her. This represents her internal conflict, literally, where she is struggling to hold on to her whole Canadian existence. And the tug of her Indian heritage is always right there with her, like it's never far from her. Because generally, we can't change who we are. We can't change our heritage, and we can't change where we come from. No matter how hard we try, just like Isha, no matter how hard she tries to ignore her Indian heritage, her Sikh heritage, it's going to find a way to seep into her life, even in her dreams. So let's continue. "Ouch," I yelled as I sat up, grabbing my stinging arm. I rubbed my eyes and realized I was still in bed. I dropped my shoulders as reality settled in. I was in India, not in BC, with Johnny. It was just a dream. I looked down at my arm and saw a bright red mark. Someone had pinched me. "Sorry, Isha Poa, but you were talking funny." "Poa," I repeated quickly, curious to know who would address me as their aunt. I looked in the direction of the voice. Standing before me was a skinny little boy. He had on blue trousers with a matching blue shirt and black sandals that were a bit tattered at the edges. He could not have been more than 6 or 7 years old. Yet the manner in which he stood, with his back straight, smiling widely, with hands firmly on his hips, gave him an air of maturity. Also, his pointy blue turban added a few extra inches to his height. "Isha Pua," the boy said, breaking my concentration. What?" I shrugged. "Why are you so quiet? And who's Johnny and Babe?" the wide-eyed boy asked. "What? Johnny here? Wait, forget that. First, who are you and why are you in my bedroom?" I was slightly embarrassed that I had been talking about Johnny in my sleep. "Me? Ha, I'm Bhagat, your nephew," he exclaimed as he jumped onto the bed and threw his arms around me. "What is it with your family and hugs?" I complained under my breath. "What, Ishapoa?" the boy asked. "Oh, nothing. So we're a family. That's cool," I muttered as I pulled him away and sat him up on the bed. "So wait a minute. Who taught you English?" Everyone in school knows English, he giggled as if I had said something silly. I'm so happy I have a POA. I could not sleep last night, but you came in so late, the boy shouted. Yeah, about that. Why do you keep calling me POA? My daddy is your brother, the boy replied with an even larger smile. You're Ikan's son? Yes, my name is Bhagat Singh, like the proud warrior. I'm going to be like him when I grow up. That's interesting, I said, pretending I knew who or what he was talking about. Okay, Bhagat, how about you go downstairs while I wash up and I'll see you a bit later. Okay, Ishapoa, I'll tell Mommy you're awake. He jumped off the bed and bolted out the door. I got out of bed and walked over to the mirror to brush my hair. Ikant has a son. The thought kept running through my mind. I was feeling more and more out of place in this house. I couldn't believe that this whole family had existed all these years, and I didn't even know them. Bhagat was my nephew, Jazz was my sister-in-law, and I hadn't even met Ikant, a man who saw my father as his own. And what about Daddy, my grandmother? She was my father's mother, and I was seeing her for the first time. It made me uncomfortable to think about how I might appear to them. They seemed to be quite excited thus far, but the question was, how did they really feel? I just hope we can do this final right thing quickly so that I can go home, I thought as I made for the washroom. Getting dressed took longer than I had anticipated. I struggled to find a suitable outfit. I had packed a couple of tank tops, figuring it would not be hot. It would be hot, but my mother was adamant that I stick to something more conservative and not show my skin, as she phrased it. However, the heat proved to be unbearable. I finally settled on a white t-shirt and a pair of blue jeans that had torn patches at the knees. I also settled for flip-flops instead of runners, as the idea of wearing socks made me feel even hotter. Studying my hair, I concluded that it was an absolute frizzball, which had to be tied back. I wondered if they had any suitable salons in the area. Jazz already had breakfast waiting for me by the time I made it downstairs. Sunlight poured in from the many windows, but no breeze accompanied it. Instead, fans were placed in each room to combat the humidity. Bhagat could be seen through the screen door playing in the courtyard with two other little boys. Dear, what happened to your pants? Come here quickly, I will fix it, Daddy exclaimed as she entered the room. What? Where? I asked, examining my pants from every angle possible. Your jean is ripped, she cried out. She had made her way to the sofa and was patting the cushion next to her, motioning for me to join her. Come here, let me fix it. I will sew it up. Sew it? What? Oh, I finally realized that she was referring to the tears at the knees. Daddy, they're supposed to be like this. Don't worry, they're fine. Fine? What fine? Come here, your knees are showing, she persisted. No, Daddy, I did this myself, I said in a raised voice, since she clearly wasn't getting the point. I did this. They're fine. It's the style of the jeans. Style, and you did this? Crazy children these days. You are ruining your pants. When you decide to fix it, come find me. I'm going out to the courtyard to rest, she answered as she made her way outside. Okay, see you later, I said, relieved that she was leaving. I didn't exactly enjoy having to justify my choice in style to an old Indian woman who'd probably never worn a pair of jeans her whole life. Isha, come eat, Jazz said, appearing from the kitchen. I nodded and joined her at the table as a slim, boyish-looking servant placed 2 platefuls of parotas, yogurt, and 2 cups of tea before us. In daylight, I was now able to see her clearly. Again, she had on a plain green salwar kameez, her hair tied back in a bun, and no trace of makeup on her face. She was adorned with only a pair of gold hoop earrings. Jazz's simplicity, however, did not take away from her beauty. She had a creamy complexion, large, round, and surprisingly green eyes, and a perfect smile. Ekant had definitely chosen well. Speaking of which, where was Ekant? No one was approaching, and still I had not seen any hint of him around the house. Isha, you haven't touched your food. Is everything okay? Jazz asked, interrupting my train of thought. Oh, yeah, everything is fine. I was just wondering if Ekant will be joining us. Oh, he was here this morning. He already left. Jazz answered in a slightly shaky voice. Another meeting. Work can get busy sometimes, you know. She continued with a weak laugh. He's anxious to see you. Tonight for sure, huh? But first, eat. Then you should also call home to Canada and notify your mother of your arrival. I nodded and smiled, turning my attention to the plateful of food before me. I hadn't called Mom yet. She would be worried as usual. Right now, what concerned me more was the eerie feeling I was getting regarding Ekant. I'd met other members of his family, but the main person was still missing. So, because India is so different from Canada, like if she were in Canada, she could just jump on a bus, find the bus route, jump on the bus, and go where she wants to go. But here in this new location, this space that's foreign to her, she has to wait on Ekant to take her. And he's been very elusive. I'd met the other members of this family, but the main person was still missing in action. Perhaps he really was busy, but still something just didn't feel right. After breakfast, Jazz was kind enough to give me some time alone in the living room so I could use the only phone in the house. It was refreshing to hear Mom's voice on the other end of the line. Isha, dear, how are you? How was the flight? Did you sleep? Did you eat? Are you sick? She was shooting off one question after another, and I'd barely had a chance to respond to one yet. Mom, calm down, let me speak. I pleaded, sorry, dear, I am just so happy to hear your voice. It feels like it has been so long. You cannot blame a mother, can you? Of course not, mother dearest. Now to answer your questions. Yes, I am fine. The flight was okay. It was just very tiring and long. But I'm okay. You don't have to worry. It's not that bad. And how is your daddy G? She asked in a slightly lower tone. Oh, she's good. She was quite sad last night when she saw Dad's. Well, you know, but she's okay. And how is everyone else? I could tell by her tone that it was getting uncomfortable for her to talk about the other family. Okay, Ekant has a wife and a son, and they're both cool. I actually haven't seen Ekant yet. Apparently, he's been busy with work. I guess I'll see him tonight. A wife and a son? That's wonderful, she replied, her tone lightening again. Yeah, but Mom, there's something you should know. Ekant's mother, well, she's not here. I mean, she's already passed away. I said. I didn't know how else to tell her. It was best that I just come out with it now. Perhaps it would make her feel more at ease that she wouldn't ever have to face that woman again. Oh no, that's terrible, Isha. When did that happen? She asked, sounding genuinely hurt. Actually, Mom, it's been a couple of years. I ended up asking Ekant's wife, Jazz, where his mother was. It was so damn embarrassing. I'm surprised you didn't know, I answered. Isha, you know there was very little communication all these years between us. I don't know, perhaps your father knew. Well, it doesn't really make a difference now. I already made a fool of myself. Anyway, do me a favor and let Mandy and the rest know that I've arrived, I said, changing the subject. Yes, I will. Those girls are driving me crazy asking about you. By the way, your sister is doing great, in case you're wondering. Of course she is, Mom. She's always all right. I'm the one roasting here in this heat, I muttered. I am going to pretend I did not hear that. So tell me now, have you all discussed when you will be leaving for Kiritpur? No, nothing yet. I got in pretty late last night, knocked out, and now I've just had breakfast. Plus Ekant hasn't shown up yet, remember. I have to wait for him to make the arrangements, right? Yes, but be polite, Isha. Try not to be so bossy and so headstrong, she warned. Mom, I'm not stupid. I think I can handle some Indians. I was raised by you, wasn't I? I countered. You know how you can get sometimes. I'm just telling you that they are family, but you are in India and you are a girl. You cannot go bossing people around. There's a way to do things over there. Just take care and speak to Ikant. I'm sure he will make the proper arrangements soon. Stay close to Daddy G and don't wander off. I miss you very much, my child. Miss you too, Mom. Anyways, I should go now. Take care and talk to you soon. Bye, I said before hanging up. Try not to be bossy, oh please. Above all else, my mother always made it a point to criticize me. Don't be like this and don't be like that. It was annoying. I wasn't a child anymore, yet she never stopped. The day continued with little excitement. Dottie wouldn't let me leave the premises because she said it was dangerous for a girl like me to walk around alone in the streets. So I just wandered about inside the house. I discovered a stairway leading to the open rooftop, which provided an extraordinary view of the surrounding city. The houses were extremely close to one another in both proximity and height, so I could see far into the distance on every side. On the rooftop were chairs and hammocks and tables. I brought up some of my magazines and settled into a chair by the doorway. Every now and then, neighbors would come and stand and stare at me from their own balconies. It was odd that they found me so interesting. I mean, Delhi was the capital of the country. Many foreigners must come through these streets, but these people behaved as if they were seeing a foreigner for the first time. I felt like I was on display, and I soon realized that I could do nothing about it except ignore them until they disappeared. Slowly but surely, the day passed by, and the sun began to set. Evening prayers from the nearby Gurdwara could be heard through loudspeakers. The day was coming to an end, and the Khan still had not shown up. As nightfall approached, I ventured downstairs to escape the mosquitoes and lizards that were starting to appear. Jazz and Daddy were in the living room, and Bhagat sat at a desk doing his schoolwork. Isha, come sit with us, Jazz said, smiling up at me as she patted the seat next to her. Thanks, I said, walking over. How was your reading? She asked. It was fine. The rooftop is quite comfortable, and the heat wasn't so deadly today. I answered, stealing glances around the room as I looked for evidence of Ekant's return. This was getting to be too much. I had planned on traveling to Kirpur within a day or two of my arrival, so that I could return quickly, but the man that was supposed to help me wasn't showing up. Daddy, I said, looking in her direction. Yes, child. I need to travel to Kirpur soon. Do you think we can start making the travel plans? I said plainly. I figured Dad's mother, would be concerned about his last rites. Oh, yes, you do need to travel there soon, she agreed. But you will need Ekant's assistance. I am sure he will have some time tomorrow to discuss the plans with you. Sure he will. Are you sure he'll I trailed off as a loud bang came from the front gate. Someone was here. Perhaps Ekant had finally decided to come home. I stood up and walked over to the screen door. I peered through the dark, trying to see who had arrived at show 2, opened the gate to let the visitors through. In walked two women, both draped in shawls and wearing, of course, the traditional salwar kameez.